The quiet hum of cameras, the faint rustle of crew members adjusting lights, and the soft, ambient chatter on the set of the unmasked detention that no one could anticipate. For years, fans had speculated about the dynamics between Dylan Wang and his co-stars, the moments behind the scenes that never made it into interviews, never made it into magazines, and certainly never made it into public view. Yet now, never-before-seen footage has surfaced, exposing an entirely new side of Dylan Wang, a side that is raw, unfiltered, and explosively emotional as he confronts a rival who dared to get too close to Shen Yue. The footage begins innocently enough. Shen Yue is laughing quietly with a fellow actor, the sun catching the edges of her hair, giving her an almost ethereal glow. Dylan stands a few steps away, ostensibly checking lines with the director, but his eyes are drawn to her every gesture, every subtle smile, every light-hearted glance. There is an intensity in his gaze, a quiet storm beneath the surface, and the camera, clandestinely positioned, captures every micro-expression, every tightening of his jaw, every subtle shift of his stance. As the scene progresses, the so-called rival moves closer to Shen Yue, standing a little too close, their conversation too intimate, their laughter too shared. Dylan's reaction is instantaneous. He pauses, then takes deliberate steps toward them, the tension in the frame nearly palpable. His hand hovers, not in aggression but in a precise assertion of presence, a silent warning that no one else could claim space in this moment the way he did. The crew, perhaps sensing the shift in atmosphere, becomes a blur in the background, the footage focusing entirely on Dylan's intensity and Shen Yue's slightly startled expression. "Dylan," a voice whispers off camera, possibly from a crew member or an assistant, yet he ignores it completely. His attention is singular, laser-focused, a storm contained within the confines of his posture and his eyes. The rival, sensing the energy, takes a half step back, but Dylan is already speaking, his voice measured yet firm, carrying a weight that resonates through the quiet set. "I think you're forgetting boundaries," he says, his words precise, but the tension behind them is unmistakable. Shen Yue watches, frozen between surprise and subtle appreciation, as Dylan stands there, a figure of controlled ferocity. The rival hesitates, then nods, stepping back entirely, acknowledging Dylan's presence and the unspoken claim he places on what matters most. The next few moments in the footage are almost cinematic. Dylan and Shen Yue exchange a brief glance, a communication that requires no words. The camera catches the fleeting softness in Dylan's eyes, a contrast to the forcefulness of his confrontation. Shen Yue's smile returns, quieter now, tempered with relief and recognition, as if she has witnessed the protective side of someone she already trusts deeply. The tension that had gripped the set dissolves slowly, but the impact lingers, leaving everyone watching the footage stunned. Fans who have seen the clip describe it as mind-blowing, unbelievably intense, and a side of Dylan Wang we've never imagined. Social media erupted immediately, with clips shared, comments piling in, and debates raging over every second of the footage. Was this confrontation spontaneous or planned? How much of Dylan's reaction was instinct, and how much was fueled by long-standing jealousy or protective affection for Shen Yue? The speculation only added to the drama, and with each repost, each reaction video, the scene grew more iconic, more unforgettable, more deeply embedded in the minds of viewers. Beyond the raw confrontation, the footage also captured subtle nuances, Dylan's hand brushing back a strand of hair from Shen Yue's face, the way he maintains eye contact with the rival while also sending reassurance to Shen Yue, and the small, almost imperceptible sigh she releases as tension gives way to comfort. Every frame tells a story far richer than a simple act of jealousy. It is a study in human emotion, in connection, in the complexities of professional boundaries intertwined with personal feelings that cannot be ignored. The aftermath of the footage is equally telling. Dylan retreats slightly, allowing Shen Yue the space to react, the space to acknowledge his presence without pressure. The rival, now fully aware of the intensity he has provoked, keeps distance. Shen Yue's subtle nod to Dylan is enough, the silent affirmation that he is seen, appreciated and understood. The layers of communication, both verbal and nonverbal, are captured in ways that make this footage extraordinary, a once-in-a-lifetime peek into a dynamic that has been speculated about for years, but never seen with such clarity and rawness. Fans across the globe began analyzing every second, breaking down gestures, expressions, and micro-reactions. Reaction videos flooded YouTube. Instagram stories were filled with clips and memes, and discussions dominated fan forums. Questions abounded. How long had Dylan been feeling this intensity? Had Shen Yue always known about his protective instincts? How would this alter their dynamic on set and in the eyes of fans? The answers were unknowable, yet the footage itself provided a narrative more compelling than any rumor or tabloid article could craft. And then came the most shocking aspect, the private moment after the confrontation. The footage reveals Dylan lowering his voice, leaning slightly toward Shen Yue, not in anger or reproach, but in intimate care. He speaks softly, his words inaudible to the camera, but the way Shen Yue reacts, a slight laugh, a momentary relaxation of tension, suggests a reconciliation, a reassurance, and a bond that is unspoken but undeniably present. It is in this fleeting exchange that the footage achieves its emotional power, showing that love, protection, and trust can be communicated without spectacle, without drama, yet with staggering impact. As viewers, fans, and commentators digest this footage, one thing is clear. This is a side of Dylan Wang and of the relationship dynamic with Shen Yue that changes everything. It reframes past rumors, it redefines professional interactions on set, and it challenges the way fans have imagined the closeness, the boundaries, and the emotions between these actors. It is a revelation that is intimate, explosive, and unforgettable. For anyone following the saga, the message is simple. Do not underestimate the power of private moments, of small gestures that reveal immense emotion, and of the intensity that can emerge when passion and loyalty collide. This footage is not just a confrontation. It is a statement, a declaration, and a spectacle all at once, and it demands to be watched, analyzed, and felt. So if you want to see every micro-expression, every second of tension, and every emotional turn captured in this once-in-a-lifetime leak, make sure to watch the full video now, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. This is the footage that changes everything, the secret behind-the-scenes moment fans have waited years to see, and the emotional confrontation that defines Dylan Wang's connection with Shen Yue like never before. The confrontation left the set in a strange silence, the kind of tension that lingers even after the cameras stop rolling. Dylan Wang stood a few steps away, hands unclenched but trembling slightly, eyes locked on the rival as if daring him to move another inch closer to Shen Yue. The rival, realizing the intensity of Dylan's presence, stepped back cautiously, the bravado that had been so visible moments before now fading under the weight of unspoken stakes. Shen Yue, still processing the whirlwind of the moment, looked toward Dylan with a mixture of surprise, relief, and something unspoken, gratitude, perhaps, or the quiet recognition of someone who would go to great lengths to protect her. There was no applause, no dramatic gestures, only the subtle acknowledgement between them, the kind that communicates more than words ever could. Fans later described the moment as electric, stunning, and completely heart-stopping, a scene that conveyed a depth of emotion rarely captured on film. Behind the scenes, whispers circulated among the crew. Many remarked on Dylan's intensity, noting how his protective instincts seemed to emerge naturally, almost instinctively, when Shen Yue's space was encroached upon. Some speculated about the years of tension and unspoken feelings that had accumulated, suggesting that this confrontation was the culmination of emotions that had quietly simmered beneath the surface. The footage revealed nuances, the way Dylan's gaze softened when it met Shen Yue's, the way he stood his ground without aggression, and the subtle shift in his posture when the threat dissipated. In the days that followed, Dylan's interactions with Shen Yue became a careful dance of distance and attention. The cameras may have stopped rolling, but the energy of that confrontation lingered. Shen Yue, sensing the layers of Dylan's emotions, began to understand that their connection went far beyond professional camaraderie. It was in the quiet gestures, the way he anticipated her movements, the protective instinct that had always been there but rarely so clearly revealed. The rival, on the other hand, found themselves under a new scrutiny. Colleagues and fans alike discussed the confrontation endlessly, analyzing body language, tone of voice, and subtle facial expressions. The incident became a benchmark, a defining moment that showcased not only Dylan's intensity, but also the complexity of human interaction on set, where personal feelings and professional boundaries often collide in unexpected ways. As the days turned into weeks, the dynamic between Dylan Wang and Shen Yue shifted subtly. What had been unspoken tension became a quiet understanding, a bond strengthened by shared experience. Fans, watching from afar, dissected every interaction, every glance, every understated smile, convinced that the confrontation had changed everything. Rumors swirled, debates raged, yet beneath the public speculation, a profound truth had emerged, that even in moments of conflict, trust, care, and connection could manifest in ways that were both subtle and powerful. For Dylan, the confrontation was more than a protective act. It was a realization of boundaries, priorities, and emotional stakes. He understood the responsibility of his presence, the weight of his actions, and the necessity of navigating passion with care and respect. Shen Yue, in turn, began to recognize the depth of loyalty and attentiveness that Dylan brought to their interactions, a combination of instinct, emotion, and unspoken understanding that transcended the ordinary dynamics of a film set. The leaked footage ultimately reshaped public perception. Fans who had speculated endlessly about hidden tensions were given an unfiltered glimpse into reality, revealing the raw, human emotions that underpin professional collaboration. Dylan's confrontation, while dramatic, was not merely an act of jealousy or aggression. It was an expression of care, vigilance, and emotional investment, a moment that illuminated the intricate layers of relationships in ways few could have anticipated. In the end, what remained was a story not just of confrontation, but of connection. A story where emotions were complex, nuanced, and undeniably real. Where moments of tension gave way to understanding, and where what is unseen, unspoken, and hidden can be more revealing than anything performed for public consumption. Fans watching the footage realized that this was not merely a clash, but a revelation, a glimpse into the intensity of human emotion, the subtleties of personal bonds, and the enduring impact of those moments that are both fleeting and unforgettable. And so the saga concluded with clarity and resonance. Dylan Wang, protective and intense, became a symbol of loyalty and emotional depth. Shen Yue, perceptive and understanding, emerged as someone who recognized and appreciated the unspoken truths around her. The rival, humbled and cautious, learned the boundaries of personal space and the weight of human emotion. And the fans, captivated and enthralled, bore witness to a behind-the-scenes moment that would live in collective memory for years to come. In the quiet that followed the storm, one undeniable truth remained. Sometimes the most shocking confrontations reveal the deepest bonds, and sometimes what is revealed behind closed doors is far more powerful than anything staged for the camera. For every viewer, every fan, every observer, the lesson was clear. Human connection, emotional authenticity, and the courage to act in defense of what matters most are stories worth watching, remembering, and sharing forever.